Hello and welcome to today's Principal Turn and Talk. And I am super excited about having a wonderful conversation today with someone I greatly admire, one of our parent leaders here at Chisholm Elementary, the one and only Daphne Womack. And yes, I'm giving an amazing introduction because she is an amazing woman, an amazing part of our school family. And so I'm honored that you agreed, Daphne, to have a conversation today and talk about a variety of different things, but really from a parent perspective as it relates to bilingual education, arts integration, and your experience here at the school and our partnership together. And so without any further ado, who is Daphne Womack?
Thank you so much.
A little over the top, I know.
Thank you, Dr. Brann, for the opportunity and that wonderfully gracious introduction. When I think about that question, it is such an expansive, full-bodied question when you think about who I am as a person. But I'll do my best, to sum it up because it's something that I think about every day, but I don't think about every day in those terms. Yeah. But I am a daughter. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am a niece, a grandchild. All of those things. A friend, a mentor. I am also a native of Alexandria, Virginia, just across the bridge here. That is where I grew up, but I am not actually, our family's not actually from Alexandria, Virginia. So in the spirit of this conversation, I would be remiss if I didn't share that my family originates from Oklahoma and Texas, which as we have the discussion, it'll inform a lot of what we're talking about. But to say all of that, in my professional life, I am a human resources and human capital professional. So all roads lead back to all things people. Yeah. And that's where a lot of my experience, both personal and professional, comes into play. When you think all about people, there's also the logistics behind dealing with people and management and operations, as well as the psychological aspect of dealing with people, and all that comes with, a whole able-bodied person on a day-to-day basis. Those are those things, in my free time when I'm not mothering my two beautiful children here at Chisholm and trying to find time to spend with my husband and their father. I also love to play tennis a lot, and I engage also as a learner in all of my kids' activities as well. So I'm also a lifelong learner, very curious to learn more.
I love it.
A little bit about me.
I love it. So as you can hear, a woman of many, many talents and interest, and again, just one of our wonderful parent leaders who's added so many great ideas and perspectives to our work here at Chisholm. Our work here at Chisholm has evolved over time, right?
Yes.
From program change to name change, all of this was really done in collaboration as a community with parent support, staff support, our students, and working together to create something beautiful. I love the way how you started, Daphne, by saying, I am a daughter, I am a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a woman, just all of these kind of qualifiers of who we are, and also giving homage to your ancestors, right, coming from Oklahoma and Texas. And that makes me think about one of the beautiful ideas that we get from the African continent of Ubuntu, right? I am because you are, right? Like we are stronger together. We see one another through our own eyes, but it is this beauty of humanity that we celebrate. And so your professional work and human, what do you call that? Human resources, and supporting people. Obviously, you lend that as well to us here at the school, and it's something that we deeply believe in here as well at Chisholm, and I believe in all of DC public schools, like just in the power of people and the beauty of people and working together. So, at our school, we are a bilingual arts school, right? We merged our two traditional programs, bilingual education, dual language, and then also with creative arts into one beautiful, unified approach. And so curious to hear from you, Daphne, about why selecting this program? Like before we started hitting record here, we were talking about there's so many schools and options, especially right here in the nation's capital, almost on every corner. Sometimes it feels like, right? So you had options, but why was this important for you as you considered the education of Gloria and Gabe?
Absolutely. We opted for a bilingual or dual language program because we fully believe in the power, the promise, and the potential of bilingualism, and the advantage and the benefits of children having the opportunity to learn a second language as early as possible.
Absolutely.
That's rooted in my study of another language, but that didn't come until I was in high school when I started learning another language.
Same.
And which was, a great opportunity and benefit, but it came, much, much later than I probably, would have liked, learning everything I learned and knowing everything I know. So when we had the opportunity to have a school right in our neighborhood, actually, that was offering this bilingual program, I, pretty much jumped at the opportunity. In addition to all the other wonderful things that the school has to offer, I just knew that it would provide a great opportunity for Gloria at the time and any other children, future children I may have, to participate in that kind of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I think Gloria was in pre-K 4 maybe when I first arrived here.
Yes.
And just now to see her, my girl's in 4th grade now, my goodness.
Yes.
Getting ready for middle school, and just to see her growth and development, obviously she gets so much from you and your husband as it relates to her confidence and her poise. Talk to us a little bit about what you've noticed with your children kind of being in a bilingual program. Like, how do you think that has, served them?
Absolutely. I definitely think it serves them with one, general knowledge of other cultures and embracing differences in people, but also, allowing them to see the opportunity that they have to be change makers and building bridges with other people who may be different, and that they have the ability to kind of bridge those gaps and bring other people along with what they've learned through the language. So one, they're learning about other cultures, but they're actually able to put it in practice and see the benefits for themselves. I have a couple of great examples, but one of the most recent examples, we were in an airport and there was a gentleman who was Spanish speaking and trying to communicate with the gate agent, and he didn't understand what they were trying to communicate, that his plane was not there, that he had missed it, and that ticket wasn't good. Gloria was able to translate for him what he needed, the information that they needed to convey to him, and that he had missed his plane and that he needed to get another ticket and go see another agent. Wow. I asked her on the spot, I said, Gloria, can you translate for him? Explain to him. And she was able to do that. And so she was already able to call upon, whether it's her vocabulary, just the context of what she needed to explain to him. And he was so grateful to her, as was the gate agent, for that assistance, because there was no one else that was able to do that for her. One, we could have, but I wanted to give her the opportunity to basically flex her wings there in that space, and she did. And that's just an example of different instances where we've been, where I don't like to say challenge, but I've given Gloria the opportunity to use the language skills in a way that's beneficial, and see that she's actually helping someone else do something, and being able to put it into practice, because that often is one of the barriers to learning language, where people say, how do I put it into practice? When am I going to have that opportunity outside of my day-to-day coursework?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Daphne, that's a really powerful example. I didn't know that. I love hearing that. I look forward to shouting Gloria out for that. But I'm hearing you making reference to a couple of important themes that we want to make sure we really highlight for our folks. Is one, like, learning another language helps develop a sense of self and identity, right? And in so learning about yourself, also you're able to therefore learn more about others, right?
Absolutely.
And build, what I'm hearing you say is, the notion of empathy.
Yes.
right? And mutual understanding. We don't have to be from the same place. We don't have to speak the same language, but I see you and you see me, and we can live beautifully in our differences and in our similarities. And so it just gives you another kind of lens through which to see the world, which is very beautiful and very powerful. And as we think about how things are now, right, through technology and all those types of things, we're so interconnected, and that's so important that our kids have these skills and these abilities. And then I'm hearing you talk about the importance of making this, learning another language experience real for our kids, right? It's more than, so when we were probably learning in high school, I started learning a language in high school as well, and I remember it's just very grammatical, right?
Yes.
And learn the vocabulary list, take your test, maybe do a dialogue here or there. But learning a language should be dynamic, and it should represent the various experiences that are all around us. And so I'm happy that here at Chisholm, our educators have identified that language learning should be fun.
Yes.
And should come to life, which is why, folks like Ms. Jimenez and that team, Ms. Vivar and others have identified the Spanish film production, which is something I know your children have been a part of as well.
Yes. That is another bonus, another opportunity for them to put those skills to use in an artistic and a fun way, and collaborate with their peers in a different way, and just continue to create.
Yeah, absolutely. So that creative power. So something that's actually happening right now in the field of bilingual education is that there is a severe underrepresentation of Black students in these programs, right? And for clarity, the bilingual programs were actually created as a English language delivery model for students whose first language is not English, right? So, for example, that's why you have the Spanish immersion programs and Mandarin and other languages to help build a bridge for native speakers of those languages. In more recent times, of course, we know the dual language programs are much more popular, right, with English dominant students and families, because we see the benefits in research. So a laundry list of reasons why learning another language benefits humans in general. The brain, your cognition, your memory, empathy, all the things that we know. Achievement. Right. Students in programs, bilingual programs, tend to outperform students in monolingual programs. So why wouldn't anybody want, right, to give your child this experience, right, in many cases? But right now, there's just not enough programs, right? And so it's a personal and a deep interest of mine as well that there is more inclusion in our bilingual spaces and experiences for all students. Right. For all students, but understanding kind of the history of our Black students and schooling and segregation and being disadvantaged as it relates to resources and access is something that we're looking to really help support and write a new chapter for, right? And so, I guess my question for you about that is, what advice or what thoughts would you want to share with Black families who may be on the fence about, is this the right decision? Sometimes I've talked with some families, Black and other, right? And it's just I really want my child to learn English first, and if they learn in two languages, they're going to be confused. And my response to that is always, 2/3 of the world is actually bilingual or multilingual. It's actually, our brains are wired to learn languages, so it's not as far-fetched. But I don't know if from your parent perspective, especially in the seat, if you have additional kind of thoughts about that.
Sure. And I'm glad we're having the conversation and talking about cultural differences in Black families, right, from a Black perspective as well. I think there are a couple of different hesitations and concerns from, being a Black family. One, how am I going to help my child? I don't understand this language. I don't know this language. What do I even do? So there's that piece that can present a barrier or some fear that, or my child's going to be learning something that I just don't know about, and I'm not going to be able to help them. Also, just sharing with them, what is the growth plan for success? Like when my child starts learning this, what are the benefits for them? Really laying that out and promoting, also championing your children as global citizens, what that looks like for them, and kind of laying out a roadmap. If you align it with things that are more easily visuals for us, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, by learning this language, here's some actual practical examples of how this will benefit your child in a way that's practical and actionable, that people can understand.
Yeah.
If you look at our job market and, like kind of laying out, these are the different scenarios, for your children. Also, people were like, well, how I need to learn myself. Like, how am I going to be able to learn also what resources are there for me? Yeah. But then there's also Black families are scared that they may be then marginalized and it's going to become dominated by another, another culture, another language. And there is that historical fear that they're going to be pushed down and pushed out in favor of, another group that may be seen as, more capable, superior, advantageous. Those are real concerns for people. So then there is that. I'm looking out for my own first. I know what's going to happen if my child learns English and,
it's
English
familiar
and math. Too. It's familiar, right? And it's easier.
Yep.
I think those are some of the biggest fears, but a lot of it just has to do with education.
Yes.
And people don't know what they don't know.
Right. That's right.
And just laying it out and using real world examples and say, if you're part of this program, here's how we work together.
Exactly.
And how we can help you build upon this. And just really laying out the benefits for the children and the family, looking at a long-term plan, not just here's what's right now, but in the future, this is what it could look like, and position your children differently.
I love that. You said so much, Daphne, right? Like the importance of building awareness, like explaining the benefits, really making that clear for folks. Like, this is why you should at least consider it, right? Like we understand families have so many choices and so many options. We just want families, particularly Black families who are currently underrepresented in these programs, to know, like, this is something that is for you too. Yeah, it's for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
And so don't discount it before at least checking it out and exploring if this could be a good fit for you and your family. And then I'm also hearing you say, like, families want to be able to help their children, right? And so some level of family parent engagement or empowerment and partnership, right? Because the expectation is not that you are able to speak the language of your child's bilingual program, right? Obviously, the more encouraging and supportive you are, I think that that's good for the child and the family, but it's not a prerequisite, or it's not a determining factor. And that's something that a myth that we have to kind of debunk, right? Like you don't have to speak the language that your child is learning and studying. And then another piece that I heard you talk about, Daphne, was the importance of understanding that it's not going to devalue your identity.
Absolutely not.
Right?
It's going to enhance your identity. And it's one, it also enhances the way that we're seen. Yeah. Because in small numbers, it only takes one to change. Like when I've seen the experiences of when people have maybe certain preconceived notions about people and their capabilities, quantitative and qualitative. Yeah. And all of a sudden, if you have, someone here that is bilingual, also, you're like, oh, I didn't know, because of preconceived notions. And that one engagement can spark a light bulb in someone and can be the catalyst for different thoughts for the next time they engage someone that looks like that person. I mean, so there are little incremental things, that can happen. And you also can't deny just competitive advantage. Oh, yep. Yeah. This is the world we live in. That's just it. You're looking for different ways to differentiate yourselves also, to be seen as capable also. And this is just an additional lever to be able to utilize. Absolutely, to add to your repertoire and your experience. And it's worth it. I think one thing that I like to communicate to families is, one thing I know I communicate to families in joining our program or any bilingual program, is to remember that it is a commitment. Right? Like, if you really want to see the benefits of learning another language, it's not a one and done, an overnight experience, even a 1 year experience. Definitely not. Right? Yeah. I don't know if you want, it sounds like you might have some additional thoughts about that, but it is
a need for the family and the students to want to be bought into, like, this is going to be a journey.
Yes.
It's going to be an adventure of 5 years, of 7 years, whatever the case may be. But it's a beautiful journey. It's a journey that's worth taking. For all the benefits that we know are to be true. You started to make a connection with that. Was there?
Well, when we say it's a journey, or they say it's a marathon, right? When I see where Gloria was in pre-K 3 and pre-K 4, and you have to celebrate the wins and the milestones.
I love that.
With your kids and in partnership with the administration and the teachers. And I think maybe kind of debunking some of the myths or understanding what is the expectation. What should I be expecting for my child to know at these different points? Like, what's what's good?
Yeah.
Some people are just like, they're just not sure. Like, what should they come out sounding like this or that? And it's not comparing them to any other student or learner per se. But when you see that growth and those milestones and celebrating that, and as you said, it's a journey and it's hard. Because I want to point out that my husband and I are not native Spanish speakers. I would say, are conversational, but having learned another language based in Latin, it gave me an advantage, right? And just having been around in different environments, right, and being put into situations where you've just got to dive in, that helps, even with the kids, but also knowing that it is going to be hard. There is going to be pushback. There's going to be frustration. There are going to be tears. But again, managing that expectation, both of yourselves and your students, and giving each other a lot of grace and space, and understanding that you, as families and kids, we're all doing something hard and challenging. And we can do hard things.
We can do hard things.
We can. And when you see them, you celebrate them.
Yeah.
Yes, we got through that book.
Yes.
Yes, we got through that page of homework. We did it.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Yes.
So I think it's just really important to just keep lifting them up and keep going.
Yeah.
But I also equate it to, there are other things that we do with so much ease where there's an unknown, whether we're participating in sporting events, learning a new sport. Never played it before. Kids are going to try it. Get out there. Let's root for them. Go, go, go. Same thing.
Yeah.
You're flexing a different set of muscles with the language learning. And I don't think there are any downsides, because I think your kids are never going to regret knowing the language. They're never going to regret knowing the language. I look at it as foundational as some people might say accounting. People that have an accounting degree but never practice accounting, but it's a great foundation for their analytical thinking, etc.
Absolutely.
Great foundation.
Oh man, you're dropping the mic on us here, Daphne. So much that you said there. And also I was making some connections as you were talking. So I think we both shared that we started learning a language in high school. And then I decided to major in languages in college. And I had spent a year abroad learning Spanish in Argentina. And I remember just that experience of, obviously being in a new place, learning another language, people always wanting to touch my hair.
Yes. Yes.
And fascinated with my hair, guys. And it was all in love. So it was just like, okay, but after a while I got like,
a little bit
I'm
too much.
Yeah. But it was an eye-opening experience to see the world from that lens. And as I continue to think about my language journey myself, it's because it's a lifelong journey. It's not like it's done once you're ending your program, academic studies. It is a commitment, for the rest of your life to have this level of openness and awareness. I continue to think about my name is not Maria. My name is not, Lee. My name is, I'm Jasmine. That is who I am, and my identity and all the identifiers that you shared earlier. And I happen to be multilingual, right? And there is this confidence that comes from that, and confidence I think that we are helping our students to develop, that whether they decide to, speak the language for the rest of their lives, that is up to them. But like you said, it's worth it for the competencies, for the confidence, for the neuroplasticity in the brain and the wiring of just, I can do hard things.
Yes. When
I'm in the workplace and I get this work assignment, all right, I'm ready to tackle it because I've tackled hard things before.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I like how you said there really is no disadvantage to learning in a multilingual environment. Again, when you think about it global, in a global context, it's happening everywhere around the world. And we just want to continue to bring awareness, which is why, we're having this conversation. So thank you again, Daphne, for your time and for your heart, and for being an awesome mom in our community and sharing your beautiful babies with us, who we love to cheer on. And I guess just before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think is pertinent to share about this topic or other?
I really want to also emphasize that in this particular school,
Mm-hmm.
the relationships that we've been able to build with the teachers, I think is quite unique. I think is quite unique. And how they feel that we are so receptive to learning for what for a lot of them is their native language, their first language. It makes all the difference. The relationships you're able to build and the vulnerability that we're all able to share inside these spaces, not just your kids, but as parents, and how this whole staff is very, very understanding of that, and always willing to help with that, but that it is a safe space for us to be vulnerable. And challenge ourselves and our kids, and it's okay to say I don't know, or I'd like to learn.
I'd like to learn. I love that you spoke to something so very important. The partnerships again, and our amazing teachers. I share your admiration for our amazing teachers